Did we really just have a staring contest?
Yep. Well, welcome guys to another review of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, ZZ Talk review.
Staring contest really messed you up.
Right. You were glaring into my soul. So this is episode 2 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Came out earlier today, even though the upload is likely not going to be coming out the day of. I feel like there wasn't as much going on in this episode, even though it was the same length. That's my initial takeaway.
Standard formula. We're going on the mission, complications of the mission, and then a sidebar of it's getting a little deep. This is literally the movie, the second part of the 3-part of the movie.
Exactly. Yeah, this was focused more on the
which is crazy if you think about it, because we still got 4 more shows. So that's
4 more episodes. Yeah. The beginning of the episode kind of did a little bit of character development for our new Captain America, which off the bat I just want to say, look, no disrespect to Wyatt Russell, but he's no Chris Evans, right? I mean, just like, even just from an attractiveness perspective, he's just like,
first of all,
Chris Evans people.
Chris Evans is just a beautiful man. So
many people aren't Chris Evans.
Exactly. Yeah. You're a close second, sir. You're a close second.
Thank you.
Well, no, the thing I did like about this, though, I feel like this was more along the lines of introducing this Captain America character and saying, hey, look, you're not going to like him because he's trying to be Captain America, but you're not going to dislike him because he's actually a good guy. Because that's what I got out of it. I got out of it that, one, he's not cocky, which, you kind of think with that wink, you thought he was going to be cocky.
Yeah.
At the very end of the first episode. He's not cocky. He's humble. He's nervous. He has a girlfriend that he loves. What's funny, he's the second Captain America. He has a black best friend too.
That's like a Marvel thing. I want to touch on the girlfriend thing, because I feel like a lot of the rhetoric over the internet, and really just in general, and I think they knew it when they were writing it, is that, so you're gonna take this shield from a black man and give it to another white boy to be Captain America. And right off the bat, they're like, this dude has a black girlfriend and looks like a black best friend as well. Battlestar, what kind of a name is that? So so it's like, hey, this ain't all bad. But I was, because the whole scene where he's going through and high-fiving the marching band thing, that was in one of the trailers. And I was wondering, why would everyone be so quick to embrace this new Captain America? Like, I feel like a lot of people would be like, not my Captain America. But then the reason why is that's his high school. They did that in his alma mater. And that's why everyone's like, oh, yeah, John Walker, I think that's his name. Is that his name?
Ah, crap. I'll find out.
Something like that. But yeah, so they embraced him, did an interview for Good Morning America.
John Walker.
I was surprised to find that he doesn't have super strength. He's just really good with throwing that shield.
The shield?
Yeah.
Catching it?
Yeah, throwing it, hitting trees, catching it.
You gotta be strong. If you're catching a full metal shield coming back at you, probably like in the short span, it's going like 30 miles per hour.
Yeah, and it's vibranium, I believe. I don't know if it's vibranium in the MCU, but I know that in the lore, it's supposed to be vibranium.
I believe it's whatever the original material was back in the day. It's not the Wakanda.
Oh, that's vibranium.
Okay, then no, I believe it's the original material that they used. Which did they? I guess it was vibranium, but they just used the stronger vibranium in after they gave him a new shield. I thought.
Maybe, because the reason why I'm unsure is because I know that, and I could be wrong about this, but I know that in the lore it's supposed to be vibranium, but I don't think the concept of vibranium was introduced till Black Panther or until Civil War in the MCU. So that's why I was unsure about that. Anyway, it doesn't have super strength or super speed or anything like that, because I think we were positing last week that he might have had the super soldier serum. Like they had another one, just give it to another soldier and make him Captain America. But no, I think he's just a really good soldier. but that's like yet another person who's good at throwing the shield, because I'm pretty sure we've seen in ads Falcon being good at throwing the shield. We saw Bucky being decent at handling it in the Winter Soldier movie.
Yeah, when he caught it with one hand.
Yeah, that was dope.
That
But another thing that I wanted to ask you about is, why is there a need for Captain America? Like, I understood it in Captain America, the first Avenger. That was World War II. There was, during that time, there was all this, effort to like drive people to enlist in the army to fight the Nazis and all that stuff. So you needed a symbol, and you did all this Captain America pageantry thing. I don't know. I don't know if they touched on it or if they will touch on it.
They did when he
why?
did the introduction to Captain America. This is a post-blip world
Mm-hmm.
where there's still a lot of uncertainty. You know what I mean? Like there's just like, can you imagine? You got an older brother?
3.
How old much? What's the closest to you? How old is he?
3 years.
So imagine if you were gone for 5, or he was gone for 5 years. He comes back, all of a sudden you're 33 and he's still 31. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like there's like that whole. I think it's the mind that happens with that, and they're just like, Iron Man is dead. Iron Man was one of the most biggest, one of the most famous ones, right? The Hulk, we don't know what's going on with him. I think he's probably not like the Avengers are over.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you need that, even though Thanos is gone and that's the biggest threat ever in the world, in the galaxy, but it's just you need that continuity of hey, we still got some protection. There's so much uncertainty. We got some protection here.
So to restore that certainty within people that things are
and
good.
It's kind of like remember that was during World War I when Captain America came out. I'm sorry. Yeah. World War II when Captain America came out. This is post global war. It's kind of I get it, because you can kind of see it with the marketing. How they market him. They send him straight to his school, which I'm assuming he was in a mostly urban school.
Yeah, he was just it was Trevor Lawrence in his. It was like basically star quarterback, but an all black.
Which is not rare. That happens. So it's kind of like he goes back to his old school. He's marketing. I'm your guy. And he takes photos every time that somebody wants one. And then it's kind of the juxtaposition of, well, this is going a little deeper onto that. And to answer your question, that's the reason why I think they need the Captain America. I was going to say right now is just the juxtaposition of how he's treated versus say how do you think Sam would have been treated? As the Captain
America. I think we can touch on that a little, and I think Isaiah, who we'll talk about later on, gave us a bit of a glimpse into that. But I did appreciate that they showed that he wasn't all the way like, okay, I'm completely ready for this or whatever, that there was doubts. And you think about that doubt and you're like, well, this guy had doubt and he still jumped into the fray. Falcon, Sam had doubt and he was like, nah, this ain't for me. Like,
but I don't think his doubts were he's not willing to do it because he's still the Falcon. I think his doubts are more he does not believe at all he can carry Captain America's shoes. And then also he's still mourning the loss of his friend. His friend didn't die, but you're not gonna be hanging out with an 89-year-old,
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like, and I don't want to make it so simple as to say that it's just that he feels like, oh, they won't accept me because I'm a Black Captain America. But I kind of feel like that might be it. Like it could be as surface level as that.
Social commentary again, with the whole police coming up, and then all of a sudden, what it reminded me, which is the strangest thing. Remember when Tyler Perry talked about that, where he was pulled over, and then another officer came and told him, "Hey, do you know who that is?" And then things changed. It's kind of this because remember what Bucky said. Y'all know who this is?
Yeah, it happened to Dave Chappelle too.
It's the same thing as the bank guy.
Yeah. I do enjoy, and we are jumping around the episode a bit, but we're staying on the theme of him being Black maybe plays a factor into it.
Yeah.
I do like earlier before that scene occurred with the cops where they're walking to go meet this guy Isaiah. The second time I'm mentioning him. And they're in Maryland, I think Baltimore specifically.
Yeah.
And they're walking down the street, and the kid says, "Hey, Black Falcon." And he says, "No, it's just Falcon." And then it's like, and my dad said, "You were Black Falcon." Is it because I'm black and I'm Falcon? It's like, yeah. So are you Black Kid?
Black
Like,
Kid.
I got him, didn't I? But I thought that was really funny. But yeah, I think maybe his race plays a factor in his head, that maybe he feels like I wouldn't be accepted as Captain America.
Do you like that they're not shying away from that? I love that they're not shying away from
I mean, look, I know that I'm thinking it, and I know that a lot of Black people watching the show probably humorously just think like, nah, no one's gonna accept this dude. But the fact that they actually touch on it, I think it's pretty cool. Yeah. So okay. So before we move further with that, let's try and go back to, let's see. So
introduce the new captain.
New cap, yeah. He does the Good Morning America thing. And then Bucky shows up. Because remember last week we were like, oh, how are they going to link up? It was very easy. Barely an inconvenience to steal from screen.
What are you doing?
He was just like, hey, like, did you see that? What do you give up the shield? And it's like, look, I'm going to Munich. I'm dealing with this. I'm coming with you. That was it. That was it. So now they've linked up, and then they're chasing the Flagsmashers, which are like the antithesis of Captain America, right? Captain America is literally captain of this country, and the Flagsmashers are like trying to destroy countries. Yeah.
Which I would actually, before we end this episode, I do want to touch on them because I think they are an interesting bunch to me. So they go into the mission. Sam jumps out of the plane, Bucky jumps out of the plane. That fall for some reason made me laugh. Because you thought it was going to be a smooth ass fall, but it ended up not being a smooth fall. And I think he thought it was going to be a smooth fall.
Hero landing.
Yeah.
It's not here.
Nope.
So he falls in. Red Wing directs him to Falcon, and then they track these people, and it looks like there's a hostage in there, and they follow through. Bucky's like, I found the hostage. Like, nah, this is like the main chick, and she Super Soldier kicks him out of there. By the way, confirmed. I don't know if it's confirmed, but it's pretty much confirmed that they're all super soldiers, right? Like,
kind of, because what is it? Battlestar Galactica. He's the one that said, they're like you, or was it Battlestar, or was it?
No, it is Battlestar.
Real Marvel name. His name.
I don't doubt it. I just feel like that's a stupid.
But I love that Bucky was like, Battlestar Galactica, seriously,
like,
and then he walks out.
Stop this car. Super soldiers. They had the fight. I gotta say, the fight was a low point for me because I think I've seen way too many of these videos, like Cinema Sins and all that stuff that highlights that nitpick stuff at movies, especially when they're nitpicking obvious green screen. And that's what I saw here with this fight. Obviously, they're not actually going to have stunt actors fighting on top of a moving truck.
I'm sure they do.
Well, I mean, not moving at those paces, right? So, but still, it kind of took me out of it because with the trees moving on stuff, it was clearly green screen, and I don't know, I hated.
You know what it reminded me of? The first Captain America. Remember when they're on the train and the trees are just flashing? For some reason, that just made me think. And that was probably because I really do feel like they call back the first Captain America more than the other ones, just because I guess the first one is the Bucky story, where Bucky and him are establishing their like dynamic or whatever.
Yeah, and because maybe they're introducing a new Captain America, so it's like another introductory story.
So that just reminded me of that, or it could have just been crappy special effects.
Yeah,
hey, you're allowed to have bad special effects.
No, you are. I don't know. Just for me, just from the whole nitpicking thing, I don't know. It pulled me out of it a little. The fight was okay. I thought the first
that's when we saw that Battlestar and new Captain America. Yes. They know how to fight.
I have something to touch on with that, but I thought the choreography in the first episode was better with the with Falcon in the air fighting Joshi.
That was definitely dope.
I thought that was way better. But yes, so Cap and Battlestar arrive on the scene, and my thought was, what are Battlestar's powers? Because all we see him do is hang out the helicopter and do like a kick. So I'm guessing he has a grappling hook. And then he promptly gets his ass whooped. And I was like, what does Battlestar add to the team? I don't know, man. Battlestar is gonna do a lot.
Black Widow doesn't have power. She's just a super agent.
Who?
Black Widow doesn't have power. She's just
yeah, but she's good at it, and she has those little electric thingies that she does. And like, no, I don't know. Battlestar, he's gonna have to do a lot to win me over. I'm warming up to John Walker a little bit, but Battlestar, nah, bruh.
He's gonna be like Damon Wayans and what's his name? Hated it.
Huh? Oh, hated it. Oh, yes.
Hated it.
Yeah. So yeah, I wasn't keen on that that fight scene. Okay, so then they get a chance to talk. I like that in public, right? When it's not just him and Battlestar and his girlfriend. John Walker is leaning into this Captain America role, right? He's showing confidence, like I'm not gonna show you that I'm a little hesitant about this role. In front of everyone else, I'm gonna be Captain America. And he was being forceful about, look, we gotta work together, this and that and all that. Even though I don't agree with him, I was like, I appreciate that you're handling the situation. Even when Bucky got arrested and he went to the prison to get him out of there, he was like,
he swung his red, white, and blue around.
Yeah, it's like on my authority, do whatever you got to do to release him, and then release him to me, And I like that he's leaning into that, even though some people might say that he's coming off as arrogant. I liked it. I thought that was a good side to see.
Well, I mean, he's got to be different than Steve Rogers.
Yeah, exactly.
Steve Rogers was the most humble man you've ever that's ever probably walked the face of this earth. In Marvel.
And I think the leadership role was actually thrust upon him in even in the movie The Avengers, right? Because we all think of Cap as the leader of the Avengers, but in that final battle against the Leviathan and then all those other the army of Thanos, whatever they called, the
Children of Thanos.
No. That's Infinity War. I'm talking about the they called the Chitauri. Chitauri. Yes. That battle, Tony was like, Cap, call it. Right? Like he was telling, Cap to give the battle plan and all that stuff. So it was always thrust upon him, right? Whereas this guy
you mean the very first Avengers, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the first Avengers movie, yeah.
Gotcha.
So whereas this guy,
Well, also you gotta think about who they were. Oh boy is not a super soldier. He's just a badass dude, right? Where he's Steve was just a dweeb, remember? Skinny.
Yeah.
Just he had a lot of heart. He didn't have a lot of muscle. Then he got muscle.
Right. So okay, that's a very
then all
good
of a sudden
point.
Agent Carter fell in love with him.
That's a very good point, because this guy has been the high school the star quarterback.
Yeah.
He's highest.
He's the first soldier to get 3 awards or something like that, 2 medals. So
man, now that you say that, it even harkens back to the thing Bucky said about, have you ever dived on a grenade, or was it dove on a grenade? And he was like, 4 times actually. That's how I strengthened my helmet, or whatever. But it wasn't. So he was diving on the grenade in a way that he knew he wasn't gonna die. Whereas when Steve did it, this was to protect his fellow soldiers. And so that's a good call out about how different they are. Yeah, look at it. So so I do like that about his character dynamic. So then they jump around a little. I will say I didn't quite understand the reason for going to Maryland. I know that Bucky was telling Falcon that there's someone that you got to meet, when they were talking about trying to figure out what's going on with the super soldiers. But first of all, that meeting didn't lead to anything. It didn't give them any leads. It gave us
him get arrested.
Yeah, but, it gave us a really good scene. But as far as the plot, it didn't actually advance the plots.
Patience, young Padawan. We still have 4 hours left in this.
Perhaps.
In the show.
You think he'll play a role later on in the show?
I for sure. I don't see a reason why they would introduce him unless he's like a tie-in for later on in like the MCU.
I don't know. I think they literally just introduced him to show that even in this country, there was still that issue of, you go off and you fight for your country, but then when you come back, you're still a second-class citizen. I mean, it happened a lot, right? We saw.
I would, if that's the case. I mean, I get it, but it's kind of you need to add to it in order for it to really be justified.
It felt a little tacked on. It was a good scene, don't get me wrong, but it was kind of tacked on.
I'm hopeful that guy's gonna come back. Because do you know if that actor is actually that old, or do you think they had makeup? I don't know who that actor is.
So he did look like he was made up to look a little old, but
because they show his face at first. Yeah. And all of a sudden they zoom out and the dude is like jacked swole.
Jacked, yeah. And so hopefully if you're watching this, you've already seen the episode. But the scene we're talking about is when when Falcon and Bucky go to Maryland, where Bucky's like, hey, I have something you have to meet. And they go meet this guy named Isaiah. And apparently he was someone who the military dropped into Korea, I think.
Behind enemy lines, yeah.
Yeah, to fight Bucky, and he whooped Bucky's ass. Because he's a super soldier like Cap and all that stuff. But unlike Cap, right? It's not someone that they brought home and paraded him around as a hero, or they would have if Cap hadn't been frozen. But it's not someone that they did that to. He's someone that they put in jail and then so that they can experiment on him.
Yeah.
And, probe and prod and all that stuff.
Wow. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I just had a deep thought in the sense of, what if he was the first one that they did the first super soldier serums on Black people, right? Because they don't,
I don't.
Because I thought in Captain America, the first one, that he was the only one.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I thought Steve was the first successful one, and but you know what? You could be right. You could be right. They may have had others that they attempted it on, like the Tuskegee.
Yeah, kind of like that. So
and
that's
then
crazy, because I'm telling you, the one thing. So one of my favorite authors who wrote the Animorphs, the Michael Grant, he commented about the show and he said he wasn't impressed. I told him I actually was impressed, because I feel like the thing I was the most impressed about this show is that they did touch on the social commentary, which is because none of the MCU movies really can touch on that, because it's a 2.5 hour action movie, like you can only fit so much in there. Yeah, there's the certain dynamics that you have to fit in, but like you can't touch on the social commentary. And with this one, they really are touching the social commentary, but they're doing it in a good way, in the sense of, we're not going to overload it, and this is going to be a freaking just a pure social commentary movie. It's like, no, we're still an action movie, we're still a superhero movie, but these questions, these kind of things are still important to talk about. So I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know if that's the case. We don't know if that's the case. Yeah. Hopefully that just means that character will be coming back. Because if the case is only to arise the whole, hey, even as superheroes, Black people aren't treated right. I get it.
Yeah.
It feels kind of cheap a little bit, though. It's kind of like
it didn't feel organic.
Yeah.
I felt like, it's like I said, it's important information as far as like just knowing like, oh man, that's what they did to the super soldiers. That sucks. But as far as to the plot, at least right now, it doesn't feel like important information. So they took him home and they experimented with him and all that stuff. So he doesn't want to have anything to do with them. And so, Sam is shook, right? Like he didn't know that there were others. And
or a Black one. Because even specifically said,
yeah.
Why did y'all tell me there was a Black super soldier?
Black super soldier out there, yeah. So then they took him. Oh no, sorry. So Sam and Bucky were leaving because Isaiah didn't want to talk to them. Again, I don't know what they hoped to get from Isaiah as far as like information. Like, what would he know? But anyway, so
probably well, that's also why at the end of the episode they go to Zemo.
Okay.
They super soldier. They're like maybe he knows some. I think what it is like let's see if he has some information that we could use to get there. You know what I mean? Like, hey, maybe he'll know more about that. I think that's the reason why. I can get that easily.
Okay.
It's just if they don't do more with him, I just feel like it's a little bit of it's a little cheap to bring him in just for that social commentary part. Like, it sounds to me like you could really do something with this character, but maybe it's just us right now being impatient. It's kind of like, why don't you just release every episode at one time? So
this should be a binge. So anyway, Bucky and Sam are arguing in the street because of this scene that just occurred, and cops come, right? Because they're like, yo, what's going on? Is this man bothering you? The usual. And then, like you said earlier, do you know who this is? And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know it was you. That pisses me off every freaking time.
Sure.
It doesn't matter who you are. I mentioned Dave Chappelle earlier because he was talking about a time he was stopped by a cop who would go on to kill someone at a Walmart the next day. He was stopped at a traffic stop, and then the cop realized it was Dave Chappelle. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was you. Have a good day." No, you shouldn't have to be famous to not, get improperly arrested. It turns out Bucky was the one that ended up getting arrested because he was in violation of his parole, of the conditions of his pardon. So he gets taken in, and then comes the scene that we talked about with, Cap swinging his shield around, saying that, hey, he said I was going to say, it's like, hey, you can release him to me. And then they have the scene where the therapist is like, all right, both of you come in here. We're going to talk this out. And they have the stare down from our intro of this episode.
I really hope this isn't the end of the therapist. I feel like it is, but those scenes are the funniest ones, at least in these first 2 episodes. So I hope they bring her back at least one more time.
I got the sense that she probably won't come back to like the finale. I feel like they're like, okay, look, let's
the wrap up. We're like, how do you feel about your life right
now? Exactly. Yeah, I feel like they're like, let's pull away from this and get into the meat of the action, but we'll come back. And then so they have one more conversation with Battlestar and Cap, and basically it was like, all right, stay out of my way, we'll stay out of your way, we're free agents, you guys have to use rules of engagements, yada yada yada. And then they decide to meet Zemo, and that's the end of the episode for those guys. Now that seems pretty short, and that's because I haven't really touched on the Flagsmashers too much. They had their stuff going on. The Flagsmashers, I don't know. I'm not what are your feelings on them? Because I don't really have any feelings.
They don't seem like legitimate, like that big of a threat, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of, if you think about this, Thanos fatigue. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I'm not expecting everyone to be Thanos level, but I mean, I don't know.
You know what it reminds me of? The Daredevil, the Defender show where the Hand was the bad guy, and you're just like, all right, I guess. It's kind of the same way with here. But the thing I like about them is they're dynamic. They're not one-dimensional. Like, their reasoning doesn't seem that bad.
Mm-hmm.
The whole one world, basically world peace.
Without borders,
Without borders, and it's kind of like, look, we lived 5 years without really, because the whole world was screwed up because we didn't have borders, and then they just seems to have a little bit of a nostalgia towards that, right? At least that's what the first episode. I believe Cruz, is that his name? Was
Torres
was. I knew it was one of those. I knew it was going to be Cruz, Rodriguez, or Torres. Anyways, hey, look, we only have limited names in these shows, it seems. But anyways, it's kind of like you saw that, right? You kind of saw that. Like when they talked about it, it's like, hey, they went 5 years after the blip, and it's kind of like they like the world without borders. They kind of touch on it. They're not one-dimensional where they're evil. Look, one guy is like, I'm willing to sacrifice myself for you guys, but it's not like I'm willing to sacrifice myself for you guys, and then the other ones have no reaction. You see the chick who super kicked Bucky cry about it. She felt horrible about it, right? So it's kind of like they're showing that, hey, look, these guys might have super soldier powers, but they're still human. Maybe their priorities aren't exactly where we think they should be, but really, I think it's asking the question is like, is their priorities wrong? You
But
know
the
what I mean? Like,
question,
is
the
there something wrong
question,
with no borders?
the question I have, and yeah, I've been watching a lot of shows recently where the line between who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, isn't exactly clear, right? The gray areas there. So it's not a foreign concept to me. But the question I have is, why is the idea of no borders such a bad thing? You know, and why is the idea of no borders such a good thing? I don't feel like they've kind of touched on why they think it's a good thing. I haven't really heard the counter argument, whether it's from Cap, whether it's from, well, we wouldn't know from Bucky and Sam because they were also blipped, but from the people that were
Here.
Torres said something about it was good for some, it wasn't good for others. But like, what is the
Yeah.
tell us? And I'm not getting that yet. So I don't have a real reason to feel like I'm rooting against these guys, other than the fact that they hard kicked some people in Germany, and then you know,
There's
actually
still money. Well, you need money to
both
start
teams
a
were in
revolution.
Germany.
So, you know,
Yeah. You got to take from the rich to give to the poor. Robin Hood.
I'm hoping. Actually, you touched it. You saying that? Actually, I'm hoping that. So to me, one of the most powerful scenes in WandaVision was the reblip, bringing it back.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you see them, like you see the dust getting formed back into the humans again, or into the people again. I hope that they kind of have a post Hulk blip.
Or like they have a flashback to show how things were.
Because
like
that
what they're
actually
trying to get back to.
that is a very good question that you have. Like what? Because all the usual reactions that we heard so far have been from people who were already here, like but post being here, not pre everybody coming back. Right? It's kind of like you don't get to really see the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
Sam's sister touched on it a little bit. You know, you were gone for 5 years. You don't know how it was. So obviously, like Torres said, some good, some bad. Hers is probably bad. There probably was racial lines there too, you know. But I think they're gonna have to touch on that. I hope they do. I feel like it'd be a waste of an opportunity for them not to touch an episode here about post blip, just because it's. I feel like there's a lot that they could touch up on that. Honestly, one thing that I would love to see, but this is like in the Hawkeye show, I hope they touch on him during the time that he was out, because, you know, we saw the negative, how it affected him negatively. So I'm hoping that happens. But anyways, that's for a future show.
And he'll be the first show. Oh, he'll be the first one in the show that actually survived the blip. Yeah, exactly. So because everyone else was blipped away.
So you kind of want to know like what like how does this,
what was that time span like?
Yeah, so what is causing, what's philosophy, because obviously there's always, like, you know, for most people there's something that radicalizes somebody, right?
Yes. Yeah.
This radicalized them. The blip radicalized them the 5 years after the blip radicalized them. So we're this kind of like, that's a great question. Like, what is it that's causing this? You think that if they answer it and they answer it, that might give you more of an idea of why these guys not even taken seriously?
Not even so much them, but if someone can tell us the counter argument for their argument, if someone can tell us why it's such a bad thing that they want to remove all the flags, then I'd feel more like, okay, there's a threat here. Right now, I'm not feeling that.
By the way, I feel the name Flagsmashers. I feel the same way about that as you do about Battlestar.
Battlestar, yeah, no,
that's your name. Okay,
it's not great. So okay, so let's wrap up. I do want to touch on the credits again because that was something I talked about last week. This time, Anthony Mackie showed up first. So then when I saw it, I was like, okay, did I imagine that in the first credits? No, I went back towards the first credits. Sebastian Stan did show up first now.
So they're going to be switching.
So you were right when you said that maybe they'll be switching.
But why wasn't Sam first the first time?
I mean, even in this one, I think the first person, actually, no, that's not true. The first person they show is the new Cap. I was going to say the first one they show in this one is Sebastian Stan, but it was the new Cap. And then Sebastian Stan. But yeah, I don't, actually, I don't think they even thought about it. I think they were just like, look, both of these guys are the leads.
It's
Falcon. They're both leads. It's like,
it's the odd couple.
Exactly.
They touched on that dynamic in that scene, like how they're the odd couple, right?
Yes.
Which is, You think that they're in denial of their friendship because remember they're like after this we could stop being friends and we could stop
we go on long vacations.
our own.
No, I don't think they're really friends. I think they're friends by association. They're both friends with Steve, so
they're frenemies. They're frenemies.
You have those people where you're really good friends with someone and they're friends with someone else, and you feel like, well, I gotta be a friend because you know this person, but really I wouldn't hang out with you otherwise. I really feel like that's what this is. I think the only thing they really have in common is that they both have trauma and they've both been to war and they both understand sacrifice, I guess.
And they're both Captain America's best friend at different times in their lives.
Wingmen, is that what New Cap called them? Yeah. So
one actually has wings.
yes, he does. Okay. So yeah, Anthony Mackie shows up first in these credits. Also, in the first episode, Wyatt Russell's eyes were crossed out, but in this one, you can see his eyes are not crossed out. I guess maybe because this is the first time we actually saw his full face.
Reveal.
Yeah. And then they showed Daniel Bruhl's name because they did show him at the very end when they showed Zemo. And yeah, but so they changing up the credits each time. Maybe that's something that we would have to go back and look through all the credits at the end. I don't know.
See, like there's a method to their madness.
A fun Easter egg or something.
Yeah. So we didn't touch on Zemo just because it was like we're gonna go see Zemo. Like, they show him and then there
very quick. Yeah. All right. So let's put a bow on it. What's final thoughts and score?
Final thoughts. Like I said, this is the formula. This is part 2. Like they go on the mission. They have some good moments. I really enjoyed the episode. I really thought it was a good episode. What did I rate the last one? 7.5, I believe, is what we rated.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this one is still not that far off. I'm gonna go with a 7.25 just because it's not as good as actually I would say it's just as good as the first episode. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7.5. It's just as good. It's just a continuation of the I think with this one, unlike WandaVision, it actually does feel like it's just a really long movie.
Yeah.
Like a really long movie.
Yeah. It's not trying to be, and I'm not saying it as a detriment to the show, but it's not trying to do anything super creative like WandaVision.
Yeah.
It's like, look, we're gonna tell this action movie story, but we're gonna take a little more time to build on the characters, flesh out these characters, exactly. Which I really hope they do more fleshing out with the Flagsmashers. I wish I could have felt something when that guy sacrificed himself, but
no, I didn't feel anything when that.
Yeah, I didn't feel anything for him.
But I did feel the girl being emotional about it. I was like, okay, so you're a little bit more. You guys are more dynamic than what we thought.
Yeah, I would like to know more about those people that are chasing them, but I guess we'll find out more later. I will give it. I actually don't think it was as good as the first episode. I'll give it a 7. I liked it because I like the characters. I like Bucky and Falcon. I think actually they're doing a really good job of carrying the show. I like the therapist as well, but just it wasn't a memorable episode, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right. Well, if that's all, thanks for watching. Please like, share,
click the like, click the subscribe.
Yes, like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends all about this, and come back for the next one. That's a wrap.